What's going on, everybody? I'm Jerry, and today we have my Week 15 picks. I'm going to pick every single game straight up against the spread, as well as do score predictions. I do it all in one video. Some people split it up. I don't. It's all in one video. We have a lot of larger spreads this week, so stay tuned. We're going to get right into it here. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get right into this first game. Chargers-Raiders. This one coming up later tonight or now, depending on when this video gets uploaded. But this one is, I kind of went back and forth because plus 3.5 for the Chargers seems like a lot, especially when I think the team overall could be a little bit better, but then you think, oh, Max Crosby going up against a first-time, NFL quarterback, I don't know what's going to happen there. So I went back and forth. I thought 3.5 was too much. I think it could very well be a 3-point game, and with the Chargers being underdogs, I still have the Raiders winning because I think Aiden O'Connell, he's just had more time and he's looked better. Obviously, last week did not look good at all, but the Chargers defense isn't on the same level as Minnesota. So I'm taking the Raiders in this one, winning 17-14, covering that with the Chargers covering that 3.5-point spread. Vikings-Bengals, I got 13-24. I just think Jake Browning is the guy. He's shown that he's probably going to start next year with how he's been playing recently. Love to see it. The Vikings are going to be running Nick Mullins as their quarterback. So I don't think he's that good. I think he probably runs the offense most similar to Kirk Cousins, but I don't think that necessarily is a good thing because Nick Mullins is absolutely not Kirk Cousins. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. I think they'll be able to get points on the board. Sounds like Justin Jefferson's going to play, so obviously that helps. But I'm taking the Bengals, and the fact that it's only a 2.5-point spread, I think this could even if it's a 3-point game, you can get the Bengals. It just seems right to me. So I'm taking the Bengals minus 2.5, winning that game. Next, we have Steelers-Colts. This one was another one where I wasn't really sure. Seemed like a toss-up. I think with the Steelers' struggles on offense, I think you just kind of have to pick the Colts, especially because the Colts' offense has been playing really well, except for last week, of course. But I think they gain a little traction again, have a better game. Hopefully Zach Moss can have a better game. Gardner Minshew's really good at getting the ball to Michael Pittman. Hopefully, maybe see a little bit more Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, some of those other receivers. But I take the Colts in this one, covering the 1.5 spread, 21-17. Broncos-Lions. This one, I don't know why the Broncos are plus 4. That didn't make any sense to me at all. If you look at this, I would say the offenses are almost equal as far as production this year, especially with Jared Goff and his struggles turning the ball over in these past few games. And even you could say even with recency bias that the Broncos offense might even be a little bit better. But I think there's definitely more talent on the Lions, but as of recently, the Broncos have looked better, and the Broncos' defense has looked significantly better than the struggling Lions defense. So that has been the biggest detriment to their team. So I'm taking the Broncos winning this one 31-24. I think it's pretty high scoring. I think Jared Goff's going to turn the ball over again, and then the Broncos win 31-24. Bears-Browns. This one, I had a really hard time picking. The only reason I have the Bears beating the Browns is because of the amount of injuries. They have Grant Delpit, they just said he's going to be out. Myles Garrett is definitely going to be playing, but played a little injured last week and didn't really get much action. Some of the receivers, you got both of your running backs in Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford are both questionable. Don't know if they're going to play. So all sorts of question marks all over the place. Joe Flacco's still going to get the ball to David Njoku and Amari Cooper if he's even going to be healthy. I believe he should be healthy, but his production hasn't even been that great. So I think there's just too many question marks with the Browns. Most of their offensive line's out. I just keep thinking of more injured players. But I think the Bears can win for that reason. I think Myles Garrett is going to give them a hard time, especially if he is fully healthy. But I'm taking the Bears to win. They're at plus 3. I have them winning by 3, 24-21 over the Browns. Next game, we have the Jets-Dolphins. This one, I think 8.5 is just too much for the Dolphins, especially considering Tyreek Hill got injured last week, and although he did come back in weird situations for a couple plays and I think it was a punt return or a kick return, I think 8.5 is just too much, especially with what the Jets did to the Texans last week. I don't think they repeat that performance, but the Dolphins have been a good team and showed that they can struggle and lose to a Tennessee Titans team last week without Tyreek Hill. And so now they're going up against, what has been bad Jets team that just smoked the Texans last week. I don't see how it's 8.5 points. I still have the Dolphins winning. That's honestly mainly contingent on if Tyreek Hill plays. And we have to remember that the Jets do have a good cornerback or just DB room in general that can at least help with the Tyreek Hill Waddle situation. So I'm taking the Dolphins over the Jets 20-14, but the Jets covering that massive 8.5 point spread. Texans Titans, this is the teams we just talked about. Texans getting smoked by the Jets, Titans surprisingly beating the Dolphins last week. And I think the Titans win this one because of the injuries on the Texans. Obviously, we know Tank Dell's out. You've got Nico Collins went out with an injury, and it sounds like he's going to play, but he's also banged up. CJ Stroud hasn't practiced much this week. And then, he's obviously the big guy there, and I believe Will Anderson was dealing with injuries. So you've just got injuries all over the place. I think the Texans, healthy, are a better team, but you did see Will Levis getting all hyped up and getting DeAndre Hopkins involved. Derrick Henry didn't have a great week. I think if you have some injuries in the front seven of that Texans defense, Derrick Henry might be able to do something else. I don't know. For me, 2.5 wasn't enough. Considering they can just win by 3, it could be 20-17, and you still get the Titans. So I'm taking them against the spread and them winning 21-13 over the Texans. Buccaneers Packers. This is another one where Buccaneers last week just beat the Falcons, who I don't think are a great team. But you have the Packers lose to the Giants, and the defense just has not been good for the Packers. So I think the Packers will still win this game. But the fact that you can get the Buccaneers at plus 3.5 when I believe I know they're tied for their division, but it's kind of up in the air. I don't believe in the Buccaneers. I don't think they're that great, but I think the Packers are struggling right now too. So I had to pick the Buccaneers to cover. I thought that was a little bit generous to get 3.5 points to the Buccaneers. So I have Packers winning, Buccaneers covering that spread, 20-17. Giants Saints. This is another one where the Saints, sure, they had a pretty dominating performance against the worst team in the NFL and the Panthers. But the Saints are somehow getting 6 points. Yes, it's at home, but Tommy DeVito's been on a hot streak. They have 3 wins in a row. They've been playing good football. Saquon's healthy, and I think the Saints have had struggles. Derek Carr's getting booed. So the fact that it's a 6-point spread, the Giants' defense has also been, decent, just fairly good. And with the struggles the Saints have had, I would say that this could be a lower scoring game, and it could result in the Giants just covering that spread. I really don't think they're going to win this one, but I think they can at least cover that too large for me 6-point spread. So I'm taking the Giants against the spread, but Saints to beat them 21-17. Next we have Falcons-Panthers. This one, I think probably closer than you would think, but I think the Panthers are just going to I think they can be close. I don't think the Falcons are a great football team this year. It's unfortunate. I think it's a lot because of their quarterback. But I think the Falcons, 28 seems fair. I think they're going to run the ball well all over the Panthers, whose defense has been okay at times, but hasn't really been consistent. So I'm taking the Falcons over the Panthers, 28-24. I expect to see a lot of touches for Bijan. Algier probably gets some too, and Cordero Patterson should as well. So I'm taking the Falcons, and they're covering that spread, 28-24 in Carolina. Next, we have the Chiefs. Chiefs-Patriots. This is another one. The Patriots just beat the Steelers, and the Chiefs just lost to the Bills. Yes, Bills are a good team, but the Chiefs have been dealing with struggles, and they haven't really been able to dominate and get a massive win over a team since I think it would be the Bears, which was week 4 or something, long time ago. So I'm taking the Chiefs to win still, but 8.5 points was just too much for me. I think zip on the ball, Zappy gets you some points on the offense, and I think the Chiefs, with their struggles on offense and the receivers not being able to catch the ball or know where to line up on the line of scrimmage, I think allows the Patriots to cover the spread, but the Chiefs probably getting a much-needed win after some struggles and Patrick Mahomes bawling his eyes out after the game. 49ers-Cardinals, another game where I think the spread's too much. 31-20 is what I've got. I think the Cardinals are kind of sneaky. I think the 49ers go up big early. I think they could have a 3-score lead even at some point. But I think the Cardinals get some garbage time points at the end and end up covering the spread. So I have the 49ers winning 31-20 with obviously the Cardinals covering that 12.5 point spread. Commanders, Rams. it appears as though I've put the helmet on the wrong side. I do have the Commanders against the spread. It seems like I do it once a week where I just put the helmet on the wrong side. I don't know. I'm an idiot. We'll just go with that. But Rams 31, Commanders 27. I think they're finally going to be able to produce some offense again. By that, I mean the Commanders. Sam Howell he's been slinging it this year. He makes some mistakes, but I like to compare him to like a entry-level version of Matt Stafford, and I think he can do that. So I have the Rams winning. Commanders still putting up points. I think it's going to be a shootout. Cooper Kupp, we'll see if he's healthy. We got Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams has been a good back, so I think a lot of upside on the offense there, and same thing with the Commanders, although the Commanders' defense has been one of the worst in the league. So we'll see what can happen. I'm taking the Rams, but I am taking the Commanders to cover the large 6.5-point spread. Then we have Cowboys-Bills. This is one where I was tempted to go Bills because the Cowboys just seem like they need to have an off week. They seem too good for me right now. They're just doing everything right. But their defense is so good, and the Bills' defense is just kind of average right now. The Cowboys' offense has been producing, and I think the only chance the Bills have at winning this game is if they go up early and can just hold the lead and do enough to win. I think if the Cowboys go up early, I don't see the Bills being able to come back. Now, granted, they were able to do it against the Chiefs, but I'm taking the Cowboys winning 28-24, and the Cowboys getting 1.5 points against the spread. That just seems to make sense. The fact that the Cowboys could lose by a point in a game this year and you would still get the bet just means for me that you have to pick them. So taking the Cowboys 28-24 over the Bills. Ravens, Jaguars. This one, these past two we both have in the thumbnail, or not we, but I do. 28-20. I think 3.5. The Ravens are just too good of an all-around team. Trevor Lawrence was playing injured last week. Christian Kirk's out. You still have Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones, but I don't know what's going on there. And Travis Etienne, they haven't been using him like they did at the beginning of the year, and he hasn't been producing as well. And I don't know if he does that well against a strong Ravens defense. So we'll have to see what happens. I think this is another one where the Jaguars, if they can get up early and try to hold off the Ravens, I think they have a chance, but I just don't see a world where the Ravens don't win. And I think 3.5 almost isn't enough for how dominant the Ravens have been this year. Despite having Mark Andrews out, I think likely is enough to at least fill in and do well enough. We're going to need Zay Flowers to hang on to the ball. A couple big drops last week, so we'll need that to happen. OBJ to be healthy and actually make some plays would be great to see too, but I'm taking the Ravens regardless, 28-20, covering 3.5 point spread. Final game of the week, Eagles-Seahawks. I have the Eagles winning, but 3.5. Again, the Eagles haven't been able to dominate and just brutally beat a team yet really this year. A couple 2-score wins, but that's really been it. And with the Seahawks needing a get-right game, they're in a fight for playoff contention. The Eagles are in the fight for the first-round bye. So lot at stake here, and the Eagles, I think, have a bit of an easier path playing the Giants, Cardinals, and then the Giants again in their last 3 games. But I think this is their last game against notable talent, and coming off some of these past couple games, they just have not looked good. They're going to need a get-right game as well, so I think it would be very easy to pick them against the spread here, especially with how the Seahawks have been struggling, but this one was a tough one to pick for me. I just didn't know which way to go, so we have the Eagles winning, but the Seahawks covering. I think the Eagles very well could cover. If I was to change a pick, probably consider this one, but I'm going to stick with my gut and go Eagles 27, Seahawks 24. Going into what we do every week, my all-season record. Last week was 8-7. Straight up, we were 7-8 against the spread, so we're getting so close to finally being positive, which I've mentioned before. I wasn't tracking my against the spread for the first 4 weeks, so I just filled in like 8-8 just to even it out, and I've been a little bit under so far. And then the rushing team record last week was 9-6, so we go up to 139-68. Gonna try to keep moving this record up, but 122-85 is okay. I'm gonna keep working on it. That's going to do it for the video, guys. Thank you for watching. And then bet the unders too. I think there's a lot of games that I have there where I think my total might be a little over the overs, but the unders have been killing it this year. So just with those games where you have the 2 shitty teams going up against each other, you got to bet those unders. They're hitting at a high percentage this year, so keep that in mind. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.